Hyperreading is clearly the much more widespread activity than social reading. You and I are avid hyperreaders. Whenever we look up a phrase or a word on the World Wide Web, whenever we read emails, whenever we check up on the changed status of a Facebook friend or Facebook ex-girlfriend, whenever we do any of these things, we are engaging in hyperreading. Hyperreading usually takes place online and in front of a computer screen. The major tool that hyperreaders engage with is hyperlinks that allow us to move rapidly from texts to other texts, to images and sounds. Thus, unlike the linear reading that a print novel demands from us, we tend to read it from beginning to end. Hyperreading is a non-linear reading strategy that can take us into multiple directions which cannot be foreseen at the beginning of the reading process. Now, for all of us, hyperreading has become such a habitual, everyday practice that we hardly realize what we're doing anymore. Thus, apart from trying to define hyperreading, we should try to describe as accurately as possible the various strategies we use when we read hypertexts. In week 3, we'll have a good look at 10 hyperreading strategies identified by James Sosnowski and Catherine Hales. For now, let me just sketch 2 of those strategies. The first is filtering. We do filtering whenever we use a search engine and filter the megatext of the World Wide Web for those parts in it that are most relevant to our concerns. The second hyperreading strategy that I want to mention now is juxtaposing. In juxtaposing, we open 2 computer windows and place them side by side, say an internet browser and a word processing program to cut text from the website and paste it into a Word document. Or we could compare the contents of 2 windows and so on. Now, as I said, filtering and juxtaposing are but 2 of the 10 hyperreading strategies that you and I will have a look at in week 3. But one of the questions we can ask ourselves about all of these new reading strategies is this: what are their costs and what are their benefits? Of course, hyperreading especially is an extremely efficient and very economical way of reading, but some say that hyperreaders lose the ability to gain a deep understanding of texts. And some scientists have even argued that frequent and prolonged exposure to hyperreading changes the neuronal networks in our brains for the worse.